Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Protect Your Most Valuable Currency with help from HPE and Veeam. This webinar, of course, is brought to you in partnership with HPE and Veeam, so thank you for their support, and thank you, of course, to everyone out there in the audience for joining us today. We've got a great presentation lined up for you. Before we get started, just a few things that you should know about today's event. My name is David Davis of Actual Tech Media, and I'll be serving as the moderator. As always, here at Actual Tech Media, we want our events to be educational. We're all former IT professionals ourselves. We know how tough it can be out there in the world of enterprise IT, and we want to help you to solve your technology challenges. So to that end, we encourage your questions. We're going to be doing a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So get your questions in early, and we'll be doing our best to answer every one of them. We also have a number of handouts available there for download in your audience console. You'll find the slide deck from today's presentation, and then also 3 different resources around the HPE Green Lake solution, a report from Veeam or from IDC about Veeam and HPE. There's a number of other resources there. I'm not going to name them all out, but make sure that you check out the handouts tab, where you can download those 4 different PDF resources before the event wraps up, because they won't be as easily accessible after the presentation today. And then we also have an Amazon $300 gift card as our door prize. I'll be announcing the winner of that at the end of the webinar. If you're watching this on demand, of course, the drawing has already occurred. The prize terms can be found there in the handouts tab. And then new for this year, we started our best question prize for an Amazon $50 gift card. Your questions will be entered into our best question giveaway. We'll contact the prize winner after the event. Hopefully that helps to shake a few questions loose. If you have one on your mind and you're not quite sure if you should ask it, hopefully that will help out. Of course, the prize winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize policy as well. And now with that, I'm excited to introduce you to today's 2 expert presenters. Welcome Chris Donahoe, Solutions Architect for HPE Product Management Alliances at Veeam, and Parissa Mohammadi, Senior Solutions Product Manager for Data Protection Solutions at HPE Storage. So thank you so much, Chris and Parissa, for being on the event today. Great to have you both. With that, I'll hand it off to you. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Christopher Donahoe. I'm the Global Solutions Architect for the HPE Alliance here at Veeam, which means that I maintain all the technical partnerships for product management and engineering teams between HPE and Veeam. Prior to filling HPE Alliance's roles, I worked in data center environments for 20 years, and I worked on a lot of the solutions we'll be presenting today. Presenting along with me today is Parissa Mohammadi from HPE. Parissa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Chris. Hi, everybody. I am HPE Worldwide Storage Solution Product Manager, covering data management and protection.
Thanks, Parissa. So today I'll be covering the market landscape for data protection, why Veeam plays a huge role in that landscape, and how our joint HPE and Veeam solutions can meet customer requirements. Parissa will then share with you how our customers have achieved their data protection goals by deploying HPE Veeam solutions. And I'll conclude with a summary of case studies along with resources that you can use to learn more. So let's get started by talking about the market landscape today. We're living in an era of digital transformation where the accessibility of emerging digital technologies enable you to reimagine your business in new ways, creating new experiences, new products and services, and new efficiencies. Data is the engine of your digital transformation and is your most valuable currency. So obviously your data needs to be available and secure wherever and whenever you need it. The problem is that protecting that data and making it highly available has become more difficult than ever. The first challenge I've listed here is data evolution. The way we consume data has changed, and how we consume data has changed. Think about where data is located now. Once in a data center environment, data now exists in a hybrid cloud model, multiple data centers, public cloud, and even edge devices to get data closer to the customer where it is consumed. And customers may still consume data from a desktop or server, but they could also consume that data from a smartphone or some other type of edge device. Finally, the consumer in this scenario may not even be a person at all. Artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms are taking today's data to solve tomorrow's challenges. This constant data use is driving higher expectations of data availability, and the value of this data is unfortunately also attracting active cyber threats. We hear more reports of ransomware attacks accompanied by other sophisticated active threats. And finally, the sheer amount of data is a threat to data protection. The number of data objects is growing, the size of these objects is growing, and there's very little oversight over the scope of data protection, which means that we're storing data and sometimes even backing up data forever. In parallel, there's a shift in the market, an evolution in the expectation of data protection solutions. We all understand backup and recovery, copying new data somewhere and being able to retrieve it later. And many backup vendors have also been replicating VMs for a number of years now. Or you may be using primary storage to replicate VMs and other data from one data center location to another. But now customers want to automate orchestration of failover from one data center site to another in the event of a disaster recovery scenario. Furthermore, they want to be able to test their business continuity plans on a regular basis without affecting the production environment. They may also want automated documentation and proof of a verified business continuity strategy. And finally, during normal operations, customers want monitoring to get that reassurance that all is well. If there are problems in the environment, they want to be able to respond proactively to meet that customer demand of high availability. So why Veeam? How does Veeam help you overcome all these data protection challenges we've discussed so that you can meet these high expectations of data availability? Well, as I discussed, customers need a data management platform which can monitor workloads, protect and recover those workloads in a timely manner, and orchestrate the migration of those workloads. Veeam's cloud data management platform helps with all of this. Veeam Backup and Replication protects data and replicates workloads. Veeam One gives our customers monitoring and analytics. Veeam Disaster Recovery Orchestrator automates failover and migration of workloads for disaster recovery. It even automatically creates the documentation customers need to prove their DR plans for governance and compliance requirements. Now here's your marketing slide. You weren't going to escape the the Veeam is awesome slide, but really in because of Veeam's ability to meet all of these customer demands of backup and recovery, cloud mobility, monitoring analytics, orchestration and automation, and governance and compliance. And because of our ability to deliver this with simplicity in our UI, the user interface, and simplicity in our HPE integrations, we continue to have happy, loyal customers who are satisfied with our product features, and we continue to grow and expand our market presence. A couple of key metrics I'll point out here are the growing number of enterprise customers we have. And you'll notice the number of customers we protect are who are in the Global 2000 or Fortune 500 customers. And then our net promoter score is something we've always been proud of. To put this score of 75 in perspective, this is only slightly lower than Costco. And I like to tell people that, they give my kids free juice and cookies. So I think we're doing pretty well there. The Veeam licensing structure is something that's also very advantageous for customers today. Veeam Universal Licensing is another reason customers are staying happy with Veeam over the last couple of years specifically. This has introduced one license for many different workload types and many different Veeam products. It greatly simplifies licensing when compared to Veeam's earlier licensing model. Simply stated, without trying to read everything on the slide here, an individual license will protect a virtual machine, a physical server, a workstation, or a cloud server. So it follows the workload no matter where it lives. If you start out backing up a physical server and then virtualize that same server, the license moves with it. So there's no need to purchase new licenses as data center environments are virtualized, for instance. So why HPE and Veeam? Um, that introduces a little bit of the value of HPE and Veeam on the previous slide, but why should you be interested in HPE and Veeam together? I'm going to start this discussion by talking about uh, customer discussions, and then I'll hand the conversation off to Parissa, who can take us the rest of the way through the HPE and Veeam value. But first, let's just talk about the HPE and Veeam partnership. HPE and Veeam have been partners together for 10 years now. Veeam has had many integrations into HPE Storage portfolio, including Catalyst integrations with StoreOnce and snapshot integrations with HPE Primary Storage. In the last two versions of Veeam Backup and Replication, this includes expanded support of Catalyst features and snapshot integration with HPE Primera. HPE is Veeam's longest running and most robust alliance partnership, and it's easy to see why HPE is also our largest alliance partner in terms of revenue. Together, HPE and Veeam create an unequal data protection solution for the enterprise. HPE and Veeam are better together because we're able to address the three key issues that keep customers up at night when it comes to intelligent data management. These three challenges have drastic consequences to customers' business continuity, brand perception, and employee confidence. By leveraging the joint HPE and Veeam solution, we're able to combat these issues and provide customers with a solution that helps drive digital transformation, save costs, and provides ease of management. So, what does all that mean? What I just said? Let's take a look at the pains uh, which Veeam and HPE customers have identified for us as we talk to them. The first is data dependency. Customers have missed SLAs in the form of protection gaps and availability gaps. And this means customers simply can't back up all the data they have in a timely manner, and they can't restore it quickly enough when they need to retrieve that backup data. And the reasons for this are simple to understand. Resource constraints, customers only have so much money. Unplanned downtime costs can require reallocation of a budget from innovative and proactive projects, which would otherwise improve data availability. And staff inefficiencies are a great example of this. You have IT and business staff that are often reacting to problems instead of being able to focus on sustainable solutions. We've already talked about complexity of environments creating a bigger challenge to protect data. And I think that's easy to understand because it's a reality that most people in IT environments are currently living today. I don't need to go into great detail to explain to you how complicated your environments have become. However, it is worth noting that many data protection solutions promising simplicity have just brought more complexity and a need for more staff. So it's good to keep in mind as you consider a data protection solution. So the question is how do HPE and Veeam together solve these customer pains? Well, as we continue around this circle, we can talk about simplicity. Think about the ease of management of a nimble array, for instance, and the ease of management in the Veeam user interface. To bring those two discussions together, the integrations that we have that Veeam has with HPE Primary Storage uh, can enable a customer to orchestrate snapshots from the Veeam user interface and then utilize that same snapshot integration to improve backup performance. Going from resource constraints to resource management, we increase staff productivity to help them focus on more proactive tasks to improve data availability. Customers can also more carefully manage costs with purchasing options through HPE. For instance, HPE's consumption-based purchasing through Green Lake is a very popular OpEx model of purchasing now instead of having that huge upfront cost for hardware. Veeam licensing can also be purchased in this Green Lake pay-as-you-grow model. And all this adds up to improved application availability. And Parissa, I can go on and on from my perspective about the value of HPE and Veeam for customers, but I think it will be interesting for us to hear this from an HPE point of view as well.
Thanks, Chris. I'll start out by sharing the results of a new research by IDC that shows some of the compelling financial and availability benefits, regardless of your organization size, that is delivered by a joint HPE and Veeam solution. The research shows, as you can see here, that with an integrated solution based on primary and secondary storage hardware from HPE and software from Veeam, you can actually create a highly available, cost-effective, and efficient environment for not just storing, but also protecting and recovering data in VMs while benefiting from what you see on this slide, namely 278% 5-year ROI on your investment, 99.6% less unplanned downtime, 68% lower cost of operations, 67% shorter backup windows, and 3.5 times more data backups. Over the past 10 years, as Chris mentioned, HPE and Veeam have been focusing on key technical integration points based on the ability to address the customer pain points that you just saw. These integrations address the needs in areas, for example, the data-driven enterprise, where we improve availability by leveraging the native power of primary storage snapshots for HPE Primera and HPE Nimble. And these improvements can actually lead to 15-minute RPO with snapshot integration, sub-5-minute RTO with HPE Primary Storage, and dev testing with integrated sandbox leveraging HPE Storage. For resource management, we optimize the solution and reduce costs by avoiding the need for a dedicated data protection administrator. These optimizations include integrations such as HPE StoreOne's Catalyst integration for reduced capacity requirements, integrated HPE snapshot orchestration and management, and delegated availability tasks to app owners and help desks. And finally, for simplicity, we make availability tasks so easy through a single data management solution across HPE storage platforms that can deliver wizard-driven integrations for the IT generalist, automation of disaster recovery verification and documentation, and single management point for protection of all workloads. So let's talk about how HPE provides the optimal infrastructure for Veeam environments and tightly integrates with Veeam software. As you can see here, this infrastructure spans primary storage, secondary storage, as well as cloud and hyperconverged architecture. For primary storage, we have snapshot integration supported by HPE Primera and HPE Nimble for the lowest RPO and RTO to ensure the least data loss and the fastest daily restores. For disk-based backup targets, we have space-efficient, cost-effective backups supported by HPE StoreOne's, HPE Nimble, and HPE Apollo. For other backup targets, we have backup copies to HPE StoreOne's, HPE StoreEver tape libraries, and to the cloud via HPE Cloud Volumes Backup to support offsite or hosted backup archival for compliance, audit, and disaster recovery. We also have VM replicas through HPE servers and HPE Apollo for the most rapid recovery during major outages. And lastly, for hyperconverged offerings, we have availability solutions with HPE SimpliVity by adding Veeam for application restores, cloud, and tape backups. Now, before discussing how Veeam 11 enhances the integration points with HPE, here's a list of major features of Veeam 11. So we start out with continuous data protection that eliminates downtime. It minimizes data loss for tier 1 VMware workloads, and it also achieves immediate recoveries to a later state or desired point in time, providing the best RPOs. Another feature is hardened Linux repository that keeps backup safe and prevents encryption by ransomware, accidental or malicious deletions. It's based on general purpose servers without any hardware lock-in. Veeam 11 also reduces the costs of long-term data archival and retention by up to 20 times and replaces manual tape management with a new native support for Amazon S3 Glacier and Microsoft Azure Archive Storage through end-to-end backup lifecycle management. Expanded instant recovery allows for the lowest recovery time objectives for Microsoft SQL, Oracle databases, and NAS file shares. And finally, the value of V11 is maximized by teaming up with Veeam-powered service providers for a fully managed backup experience such as backup as a service and disaster recovery as a service. I'd like to note here that Veeam 11 enhancements extend across the entire HPE storage portfolio, and the integration points correspond to the key products listed here to deliver benefits in performance, consolidation, resiliency, and active backup value. From a high-level overview, HPE Primera and HPE Nimble together with Veeam are ideally suited for use cases where you want to leverage storage snapshots and snapshot replication for fast and short-term retention, and you don't want to impact production data. HPE Store Once and Veeam are targeted for use cases where you need large amounts of logical capacity and you want your secondary storage to be air-gapped from primary arrays to prevent unauthorized access, such as from ransomware. HPE and Nimble Adaptive Flash and Veeam benefit those who want to leverage secondary storage for DevOps, DevTest, and similar workloads, and they require a fast, granular restore and instant recovery. HPE Apollo and Veeam are the best solution when you need a single infrastructure for backup processing and storage, and you want linear scalability by adding new infrastructure units. And finally, with integration of HPE Cloud Volumes Backup and Veeam software, existing data sets can be backed up to the cloud using current Veeam-based workflows. So how does Veeam 11 specifically benefit each of the key HPE storage products we just covered? We'll start out with HPE Primera and HPE Nimble All Flash. The new feature supported with the joint integration with Veeam is the async snapshot replication and the instant disk recovery from storage snapshot. The benefits provided by these features are faster backups and restores and less impact on production environment. Moving on to the HPE Apollo 4000 platform, the new features are NUMA awareness, unbuffered writes, and shared memory transport that translate into faster backups and restores, simpler deployment, and Veeam role consolidation. In the HPE Store Once and HPE Cloud Volumes backup space, the new features are asymmetric retention for Catalyst copy jobs, no NAS backup size limitations to Catalyst Store, Catalyst copy from Veeam backup copy job, and a tape out from a Catalyst copy target. All these features lead to benefits such as backup copy replication from HPE Store Once to HPE Cloud Volumes Backup or other targets with longer retention at destination. Another benefit is backup copy to tape from the central replica destination copies for low cost and longer retention. And finally, support for NAS devices such as Cumulo backups to Store Once. Now I'd like to hand it over to Chris to share with you our joint customer success.
Thanks, Parissa. Now that we've told you about the value of our HPE and Veeam alliance, let's look at some of the proof of that value with customer testimonials. We help our customers overcome challenges in data loss, disaster recovery, modernization of storage environment, and more. Uh, you can look at a lot of the solution specifics by reviewing the link on this page. You'll see 4 examples of HPE and Veeam customers who have overcome data protection challenges with our mutual solution. One of the examples you'll see in that report is Flavo Ziekenhaus. This is a company in the medical field who has been able to greatly improve their backup performance by utilizing backup from Storage Snapshot with Veeam and HPE Primary Storage. This is also a good example of a Green Lake deal where the customer chose to take advantage of the consumption model of purchasing we talked about earlier. Ferrara Candy Company is a fun example for me personally to share because I can tell my kids I'm helping to protect the candy industry. They also utilize storage snapshot integration to improve backup performance. The one note on this customer testimonial about their backup window going from 22 hours to 30 minutes is 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 a very impressive reduction in their backup window. Uh, and again, this is what I believe is a great testimonial to the joint value solution there. That wasn't accomplished just with Veeam software. That was accomplished also with changing out their backup infrastructure with HP hardware. So truly, the combined solution of Veeam and HPE together combined to help reduce that backup window drastically. So, in summary, why HPE and Veeam? To pick out a few of these bullet points, which to me illustrate the greatest value, I would just start by looking at that first bullet point that talks about how customers get data protection across a variety of infrastructure types, whether it's virtual, physical, or cloud. And Veeam's integrations with HPE's portfolio enable Veeam to take advantage of data protection features in the hardware, which improves efficiency and reliability of data protection. So your staff, again, can focus on more proactive tasks while the data protection is left to Veeam and HPE. And that's proven in the numbers, right? You see here 99.6% less downtime when you move your storage to HPE and your data protection software to Veeam. And it's really the combination, as I referenced on the previous slide, that's the combination that's where the power of the partnership is really seen in the combination of the hardware and the software together. It greatly improves your application availability and helps you to recover quickly if there are issues. If you'd like to know more, we have a variety of materials to share online for you to review. You know, case studies, white papers, our alliance web pages, lots of reading materials out there for you to learn more. And beyond that, I would just say our contact information is listed here. You can feel free if you have any questions that occur to you that you forgot to ask after the presentation is over here, you can you'll certainly feel free to contact me or contact Parissa. Thanks, Parissa, for joining me today and reviewing our HPE and Veeam value proposition to our mutual customers. We certainly are grateful to be partners with HPE, and we're excited to continue solving these data management challenges together.
Excellent presentation. Thank you so much, Christopher and Parissa. Really, really cool stuff that you guys are doing together. We do have some questions for you. Chris and Parissa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Let's see. First question I see that came in, Phil is asking, what does Veeam do to protect against backup integrity from malicious actors that aim to destroy the company's ability to recover? So if, I guess the concern is, could the backup data get encrypted? Chris, what does Veeam do to try to prevent that from happening?
Yeah, I saw a couple of questions in the Q&A regarding ransomware protection and active attackers, and I'd probably divide those into 2 groups. First of all, if we're just talking about ransomware, without an active attacker involved, Store Once, our Store Once integration, Catalyst integration with Store Once is an effective uh, protection against ransomware, because that it's difficult for ransomware to make that jump from across that Catalyst link, because it is a proprietary protocol to HPE. Also, orchestrated snapshots on Primera and Nimble are very effective when you're just talking about ransomware. Uh, Now, active attackers is really where you are getting into a complicated conversation for security, uh, because you actually have someone inside the network. Possibly they're on the VBR server. They have access to your backups at that point, and that's where you're going to want to employ immutable backups on like Linux hardened repositories that we have on V11. We also have immutable backup repositories on AWS and other S3 compatible solutions like Scality. And which one of those you would choose would really depend on your requirements for keeping data, in the public cloud or on site. It just depends on the customer preference and requirements.
Excellent, excellent. And this question kind of goes to the same idea there, and that is, how does the combination of the products protect, against ransomware? And Parissa, do you want to talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, let me just highlight some of the Veeam 11 integrations with our HPE Store Ones that include reliable security and ransomware protection that basically fends off the increasing risk of the cyber threats. And they together deliver the unprecedented resiliency for companies of any size. Now, the secret sauce here that, together with Veeam 11 can make that happen is the HPE Store One's Catalyst, which basically isolates critical data so attackers cannot access it without resorting to some direct physical interaction. So even in instances where a single location is physically compromised, the Store One's Catalyst stores continue to protect the mission critical data by isolating the data from traditional lines of communication and command sets that are typically leveraged by these ransomware attackers. So these Catalyst stores is basically hidden from these attackers behind an API that enhances and simplifies the process of backing up, and as well as deduplicating the data. And this makes it practically impossible for these attackers to attach to these, the actual ransomware to attach to these backup stores directly. But going going beyond that, these Catalyst store of course can be used not just for ransomware protection, but also you can take the restore points written to these Catalyst stores, and they can be copied to other stores through storage-based replication using Catalyst copy jobs that are managed by Veeam. And so Veeam at that point orchestrates the workflow and is aware of the multiple copies, and this becomes very handy in a disaster recovery situation where the copies can be sent to other HPE Store One systems, and perhaps even to the cloud. So I just wanted to put this in as well, because the Catalyst is a very powerful solution that together with Veeam can not only fend off the ransomware attacks, but can also come in really handy with Catalyst copy for disaster recovery solutions.
Excellent, excellent. Very cool to hear that. Next question that came in: is there a purchase option for this, or a consumption-based pricing model for these types of solutions? Is the question.
Yeah, Parissa, would you like to describe Green Lake? I'm sure you'd probably do it a lot better than I could.
Oh, sure, I'd be happy to. So we do have a Green Lake offering, HPE Green Lake, that basically allows customers to have these type of type of solutions where they can do have some financial flexibility and a pay-per-use model. So particularly with Veeam, what we have done recently, even as recent as a few weeks ago, is that with Apollo Backup Target that we can use with Veeam, and you heard some of the Veeam 11 integrations and the benefits that result in that. We have t-shirt sizings available with that we have fed to the HPE Green Lake team, and then what they can do is work with you as the end customer to propose the particular configuration that meets your infrastructure needs and your data protection needs. So these 3 or 4 configurations start with small, then go to medium, large, and then large. And of course, they could be tweaked for your particular solution area, but it's very prescriptive in terms of what components go into that. And then, of course, for each one of those, there will be a pricing with Green Lake, a starting price, and then, of course, depending on your custom configuration, it can go up from there.
Excellent. Excellent. And then another question here, Sam says that they're looking for a new backup solution that would use Veeam version 11 with the hardened Linux appliance or machine for immutable backup. And he's asking, can you explain how this would work with HPE hardware, and what other hardware or software would be needed to activate this solution?
Yeah, sure. So the hardened Linux repository is it requires no extra HP hardware other than the Apollo server. I mean, you need the either an Apollo 4200 or an Apollo 4510. But there's the functionality is built into Veeam backup and replication version 11. So there's no additional software that you need with Veeam. There's no additional licensing required there. You just need the server itself, and we support all the major flavors of Linux. With CentOS and Red Hat, Ubuntu, probably whatever you'd like to use. We very likely support.
Excellent. And then Ken is asking about encryption, and there's another question here about data confidentiality. What sort of encryption is available in both HPE and Veeam?
So we do encrypt to a I believe it's an AES 256 standard. I saw a question there about overhead. Uh, the amount of overhead required for that really, I'm sorry to beg out of the question, but it's really going to depend on the amount of data, the size of your backups, the way you have them configured, about just how much overhead is going to be required for an encryption for any particular job. I will say in general that we do partner with HPE. If that encryption at rest is can be handed off to the hardware, it's it's definitely your better option to allow the HPE hardware to do what it does best, and encryption is going to be one of those things. Now, obviously, we do use TLS keys for encryption in flight, so the data can be encrypted in flight inside your data center if you want that as well. Um, so yeah, that's all of our security options. We've definitely thought through it. So if you'd like to employ all of those security options in flight and at rest, you definitely have those at your disposal.
Very cool. And then here's a question. I'm not sure who this is for, but Hans is asking out there. He says he has 2 Nimble storage arrays already as a primary and a secondary. He wants to use Veeam for backups and do backups from storage snapshots on secondary storage, but not put unnecessary load on the primary. Any recommendations for a replication of the data? Like, is that done? Should that be done in the Nimble storage? Should that be done with Veeam? how do you decide which kind of technology to use there?
So I can provide some context there in that, using HPE Nimble storage as a primary storage, obviously we can get the snapshots and copy them over to a backup target. Now, we also position the HPE Nimble adaptive flash arrays as a very convenient backup target. And the reason I mentioned these, the adaptive flash, is that some customers want to leverage their secondary storage for DevOps, dev test, and similar workloads, or they require fast granular restore and instant recovery, or they just want to standardize on HPE Nimble storage with the HPE InfoSight predictive support. So that's where an HPE Nimble storage hybrid flash or adaptive flash array would be ideal in this case. And you can certainly do that. Replication is also another way to copy your data, but I would say if you want to include both the Veeam and HPE Nimble as a backup target, we have great success stories there as well.
Awesome. And then let's see, another question here. Maybe I think this one's for you, Parissa. They're asking about what can you tell us about use cases that are enabled with Veeam and Cloud Volumes Backup?
Certainly. So there are actually many use cases that Cloud Volumes Backup and Veeam enable. One of the use cases is to do a cloud backup at remote sites. That way you don't need to deploy new hardware at the edge, with any space, power, or cooling constraints, or at the data center with additional bandwidth to drag remote data back. Another use case is to have secondary backup site replacement. In other words, there is no need to buy backup infrastructure or new software at a second site. Third use case is tertiary copy to cloud. Again, no need to deploy new hardware or software at the data center. And then another final use case would be having a secondary copy in the cloud, which essentially says that you really don't even need to have a second site. So these are some of the use cases that are enabled with Cloud Volumes Backup and Veeam.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, it looks like that's all the questions we have at this point, and we're starting to run out of time here in our webinar slot. So I guess we'll wrap up our Q&A session, but tons of great questions from the audience. We really appreciate that. And of course, Chris and Parissa, I really appreciate your excellent presentation. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. And did everyone get our contact information as well for follow-up questions there, David?
Go ahead and actually, it's in the slide deck that's available there in the handouts tab.
Okay,
Yeah, if folks want to download that. I guess there was one question I forgot to ask you, Chris, and that was they wanted to know if there's an evaluation or a trial version of Veeam.
Yeah, I think I responded to that in line there. I may have forgotten to to unclick this private. There is on our website. You can go to veeam.com and click on download, and you'll find the options to download software and get trial keys out there. So again, it's just veeam.com, and then there's a download link there at the top of the page.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, thank you so much to Chris and Parissa. Thank you to Veeam and HPE. And of course, thank you to everyone out there in the audience. I hope you learned a lot and have a great day. Don't forget to check out the handouts there, download those for additional information, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.